what the president did is atrocious and totally wrong. From the standpoint, we're 12 days away. I mean, the one point I'd make with Biden, if you have an impeachment and you're stuck sitting in the Senate and he needs cabinet members, you've got Secretary of Defense, you've got a lot of things that you've got to have moving. And if you think from a perspective, you put everything else away, this country is very, very divided. Impeachment divides the nation further and continues to divide even greater. That's why I want to reach out to Biden. I wanted the president to meet with Biden, but that's not going to happen.
Oh man, this is not over. It's not over at all. Even though Kevin McCarthy did say that he and Donald Trump have made up, I still never fully believe that. And as these tapes continue to come out of this one now, him talking about Trump's actions as atrocious, and even bringing up the more possibilities of how he may be removed from office or resign, it was a constant over and over conversation is what we're discovering. I wonder how Donald Trump feels about that. He did continue on though, because he wasn't big on how a potential impeachment would work, but not because he didn't think Donald Trump didn't deserve it, but because he didn't want to divide the country further, which was gonna hurt, of course, political chances. Listen to more. Let's go to the second side here.
I didn't get any feedback yet.
Yeah, just that they're discussing it. It seems like there's definitely, obviously, anger on their side, but also division strategically on what to do. You know, I think the options that have been cited by the Democrats so far are the 25th Amendment, which is not exactly an elegant solution here.
That takes too long too. It could go back to the House, right?
Yeah, and
even talking to his Republican floor director, John Lugansky there on this call. Liz Cheney, Lugansky, McCarthy, and probably some other folks were also on this call. It was discussed by multiple people. This isn't a one-on-one call that we have to now be exposed to. They all knew this was the process. So think about that as we see all the back and forth that McCarthy does. Let's go to graphic number 3, you guys, to talk about that one part, because they were floating the impeachment talk. They were wondering what Democrats were gonna do, and this is part of that. So the audio from that private January 8th call is the latest in this series of recorded tapes that was obtained by the authors of This Will Not Pass. Trump, Biden, and the Battle for America's Future is the name of that book. And they shared it with CNN to shed light on what McCarthy really felt about this whole thing. And after that aftermath of the Capitol riot, again, Kevin McCarthy was on the right side of this, yes. He was actually the one who was saying correct things from the Republican side. Of course, he wanted to protect himself and the party. So part of that was talking about how atrocious in this tapes this thing was because of how bad it made them all look. But instead, they have to reel it back in and go kneel in front of the same guy that they dislike.
You know what this reminds me of, and this is a really random reference, but you know that movie She's All That, and Freddie Prinze Jr. has to go to like this art thing, and he does that performance with the hacky sack, and he's like, "Don't let it drop. You can't let it drop. Like you have to maintain control of all these moving pieces that you're juggling, and you can't let it drop because once it drops, then everything falls apart." And this is what it reminds me of. It's like, you know how if you start lying, you have to keep lying to maintain that. If you start manipulating people, you have to kind of keep that going because you created this problem. You made all these people believe all these things to where you now have an actual problem. You have, this guy who's president and you can't get rid of him, and he's trying to do all these things to basically break the country and break democracy. You can't do anything because now politically it's a bad idea. You're gonna lose support because you've already made all these people support this crazy person.
Yep.
So it reminds me of Freddie Prinze Jr.
The committee ultimately deciding after several months of deliberation here to subpoena 5 House Republican lawmakers, including the top Republican Kevin McCarthy. You see these other members on the screen: Scott Perry, Jim Jordan, Andy Biggs, Mo Brooks, all allies of former President Donald Trump. And in the press release that we just got from Chairman Benny Thompson, he says that these colleagues have information relevant to our investigation into the attack on January 6th. He goes on to say, before we hold our hearings next month, we wish to provide members the opportunity to discuss these matters voluntarily. They have issued letters asking all of these lawmakers to come before them and cooperate. All of them have said no. Some of them, in the case of Mo Brooks, have even preemptively said that they would say and fight a subpoena. So we're about to get into that legal period. But Thompson goes on to say urge their colleagues to comply with the law, do their patriotic duty, and cooperate with our investigations, as hundreds of other witnesses have done. And I thought it was striking. These letters are, in some cases, pretty short, but the one to McCarthy just says, we are left with no choice but to issue you a subpoena. So this tees up a huge legal battle, Chuck. The first time that this committee has actually issued subpoenas to their colleagues, and a rare move here. We can't think of anything in recent memory of another time that a House committee has subpoenaed House lawmakers, but here we are.
Here we are on this surprising move where the January 6th committee has issued subpoenas for those House Republicans. That's, I guess, the surprising part. The unsurprising part is that their pushback, the way it's always been, and actually even that language to Kevin McCarthy, we have no other choice. Again, maybe I'm putting that tone on it, that energy of, sorry, Kev, I mean, we kind of have to. Let's go to graphic 2 here, because we do know who those Congress people are that have been subpoenaed. But this move does mark this significant escalation in the committee's efforts to obtain information related to the lawmakers' communications with then President Donald Trump and White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows before, during, and after the attack. And in a statement, Thompson said of the committee, has learned that several of our colleagues have information relevant to our investigation into the attack on January 6th and the events leading up to it. Apparently, I guess some people see it this way. The January 6th committee has taken the gloves off as they're going after these folks. But the unprecedented nature of what we talk about here is because it's an unprecedented attack that was on our Capitol. So I think these things can all be within that same realm. So about that, before we hold our hearings next month, we wished to provide members the opportunity to discuss these matters with the committee voluntarily, is what Thompson also said. Regrettably, the individuals receiving subpoenas today have refused and were forced to take this step to help ensure the committee uncovers facts concerning January 6th. We urge our colleagues to comply with the law, do their patriotic duty, and cooperate with our investigations. Hundreds of other witnesses have. The subpoenas come ahead of the committee's long-awaited public hearings, which are scheduled to begin on June 9th. And finally, up until Thursday, the committee had been reluctant to subpoena these lawmakers because of a variety of issues. First of all, time restraints, which is a complex and lengthy legal fight that could last beyond the November midterm elections, along with fears of retribution in the likely case the Republicans win back the House majority in 22.